Let's welcome Cristina Espiritu.
Hello everyone. I think Dr. Kathleen did me a favor. I was gonna make you guys do jumping jacks to wake you up. I think you're all awake, right? Yeah, okay. But I actually wanted to tell a story about clutter. Kid you not, I've had a storage for about 5 years, and I cleared it all out yesterday. Thank you. And you know what I got out of it? $200 off of my pocket every single month. Because I have been paying $200 for the past 5 years. Yes. So yeah, isn't that pretty timely, right? That we got that the lecture from Clutternomics. So yeah, I thought it was very timely. But in order, well, I'm gonna give you a topic that's I would say maybe not as interesting, but would be timely for business owners, right? So I think there was a show of hands. How many here are business owners? Okay, I think about half of the room, right? And who wants more money? Yes, of course. Yeah, who doesn't want more money? But so what I'm going to talk to you about is how to fund your company, right? So there are different ways to actually fund your company, and I'm just going to give you just I would say just a quick, quick and dirty summary of the ways to fund it, and then if you have any questions, then you can specifically ask me, or we can talk about it later. So first, just a little bit of background. So she's talked a little bit about me, but my experience with being an entrepreneur started when I was still in college. So I sold my first company when I was in college, and back then I've always wondered, did I get the right value for it? Did I get the right price for it? And now I don't want to think about it, right? But I've always said I could have done more. I could have I could have done more sales, more this or that. So since then, my passion has always been how to make business owners maximize the value of their business, right? Because we all want that. And why do we want to maximize the value of our business? Anyone? Yes, exactly. Because eventually, people think they're going to live forever, right? And you're going to be running your business for the rest of your life, but you want to eventually retire. So you eventually want to go and maximize the value of your business so you can buy or sell it, buy a business, sell a business, or you can actually gift it to your relatives, your friends, whoever it is, right? So you eventually want to exit. So then I always talk about, and Dr. Kathleen talked about how to maximize business growth, right? And so I would say another way to maximize business growth is to be able to fund your business so you can do more things, so you can actually, get those clients, get the marketing, right? So first one, so I always, when I do these presentations, I always divide it into three. How do you maximize, how do you do funding? First is government. So I'm gonna give you a bit of a context. First is government, second is private funding, and third is public funding. And I will just, show of hands later on, I just kind of want to gauge what types of funding you guys have done in the past. So, first one, is it a little bit hard to read? Yeah, okay, well, I'm going to summarize it. So, first one are grants. So the previous speaker had talked about grants, right? And when we talk about grants, we always say, okay, grants are for nonprofits. And what are grants? Free money. Essentially. But here in the context of grants, this is through government grants, which is through grants.gov. And grants.gov is a federal database of grants that you can get based on your entity. So for example, just to give you an example, back in April of this year, I applied for a grant through the department, through grants.gov, and it was a grant through the Department of State. And I was awarded a grant, and through that grant, I was able to establish an international women's group. Right? So, and that was funded by the Department of State. So this type of grants that are through grants.gov is not free money. What you do is they give you a specific task, a specific service. They're asking for a specific product or service, and then they give you, specific funding for our budget. Second, there are federal assistance, which confusingly enough, they're also called grants, right? So these are the types of federal, and I call it federal assistance because this is the grants that are free money. And who here has applied for a business grant? What type of business grant have you applied for? Okay, so Department of Treasury, and how long ago was it? Four years ago, okay, and then I think you had raised your hand as well? Oh, yeah, okay, well, great example. So grants are given through different levels of the government. So there are grants in the federal level, grants in the state level, grants in the county level, and then the city level. So and what kind of grant have you gotten, or have you applied for?
Several, but I was gonna say grants not available in small organizations, grants they do primarily to like big cities, dispersed.
Yeah, you're partially correct. So what they do is you can actually, what you do is once you get it's called a notice of funding opportunity, it will determine the eligibility. So sometimes individuals are eligible, schools are eligible, or organizations or small businesses. So it just depends on the keyword.
We prioritize.
Okay, well, yeah, so I mean, I can teach you how to, how to look and then basically depending on the keywords. So you can, yeah, touch base with me later. Yeah, but basically this type of grants, the one that's free money, which we all want, as I said, are at different levels of the government. So for example, a big one that was pushed just back of May of this year is called the LA Economic Opportunity Grant. And I was part of an organization where we were actually actively seeking small business owners to apply for these grants. And it's funny because they had pushed these grants because people were not applying for them. And you know what the main causes were? First of all, they said, oh, you know what, I think this is a scam. How can the government get free money? Right? And then second, they just don't know that it exists or they just don't know how to apply for it. So these are the problems with some of the grants that are given out through different levels of the government because people are just not aware of it. But the LA Economic Opportunity Grant, I believe they were giving away about 40 million. And they had pushed the deadline from January of this year to March and then eventually to May of this year because they couldn't get enough applications for it. And then the third one are procurement. So procurement, I would say it's a little bit similar to the first one we talked about, but procurement is basically looking at government contracts, looking at requests for proposals through either federal, state, or city or county level. And then it's essentially the government procuring products and services to small businesses like yours. And any questions so far? Okay, so those are, and then we will talk about private funding. And I believe earlier, angel investors were mentioned, right? And who's familiar with angel investors? What angel investor program are you familiar with? Oh, okay. Oh, are you an angel investor? Oh, excellent. Okay, through an organization or? Okay. So angel investors are basically high net worth individuals who are passionate about certain projects or certain businesses, and they will actually they will seek out and give funding. And most of them are small businesses, or they give funding up until 350,000. So the ones that I've been involved with would be the Tech Coast Angels, which is here based in LA, and then they deal with tech startups. And another one would be venture capital, which is essentially the same as an angel investor, except these ones are more of VC firms, venture capital firms, and then they require that businesses may be more established businesses and they don't necessarily invest in startups. And then the third one are incubator programs. Anyone familiar with incubator programs? Okay, someone's nodding their head. Oh, what incubator program are you familiar with? Yeah, exactly. So incubator programs, I would say and so they're basically niche, right? So they have incubator programs that concentrate on tech. I've had incubator programs in LA that concentrate on fashion, so fashion incubator. But what they do is to provide technical assistance, so they give you perhaps about 6 or 8 weeks of technical assistance work, and then after that, they help you pitch. So they help you pitch to potential investors. So the ones that I've particularly been involved with is the Cal State Fullerton Entrepreneurship Program, and also one called Seed Spot, which is a social enterprise program. So these ones are, they're very competitive, but then if you have the right angle, then aside from giving you the technical assistance, you have the opportunity to receive funding as well. And then the last one is public funding. Public funding, I really divided into two. One is called crowdfunding, and everyone has heard of crowdfunding, right? Okay. Have Kickstarter or Indiegogo, has anyone used those platforms before? Great, okay.
I'm
So,
on the other side, so I am the one helping this.
oh, perfect. So what you do is, do you help set them up so that they can get Kickstarter funding?
You essentially invest, and then they would give it to and then the business grow, and then they have to do that. I think it's a system where, in all honesty, so that they know it's not free money, but they have to work for it, and have to bring it back, and then they will be invested in the next.
Good, okay. Right. So Kickstarter, I'll give you an example. Kickstarter would be something like, I have a friend of mine who had a band and they were looking for funding to start a project, to start a record label. So then what they did was that they did a Kickstarter campaign, and then depending on the type of money that they have contributed, I think at the highest level, they got VIP concert tickets or something like that, right? So what they do, the good and bad thing about this is that when you give money, it's not guaranteed that the project will actually work. So then what happens is, at the same time, you maybe just donating your money. Yeah, and the last one is, it's called microlending. And the way that I've talked about microlending is in context of Kiva. So Kiva is a microlending type of platform, and what they do is they invest in small businesses in different parts of the world. And then the reason why it's public is anyone can go ahead and look at the businesses that are there and then actually invest in them. And that's it. Any other information? So I'm giving you just like a quick and dirty summary of everything, but what I do through PACE is, as I mentioned, I do procurement, but I also help with grants. So I have a grant workshop in November and in December. So I have some flyers here, and it's called Understanding Business Grants. So I help you look at the best practices to apply for business grants, and also do the open grants that are available in Richmond. So, oh yes, thank you. Question? My service, no, I work with both domestic and international businesses. So I work with businesses on the valuation and then maximizing the value so they can exit at a certain price. Yeah, so I can tell you like my most favorite one right now, so the one I just recently did, is a restaurant that's based in Aruba. So they are a franchise business in Aruba, and they're looking to sell to a US buyer. So I did their valuation, help them maximize the value so they can exit at a certain price. So I've been working with them for about 3 years. Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much.